Hello, ladies. Is this thing on? I think it is. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to HOTFIX, the greatest video game. Well, we can't really call it a video game podcast because it's like a video game news-centric, opinionated, highly topical debate show.
But it's like an hour and a half long, so it's still. I'd say it's still podcast territory. It's like a hard-hitting podcast.
Yeah, but just calling it a video game podcast. Well, because podcast is like that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's roll with it. Before we get into this, as ever, at the start of every HOTFIX, we do this. If you do enjoy the show, you can support HOTFIX on Patreon, okay? And this is essentially how the show is entirely funded, effectively. There is a card over there in the corner, which is like a little annotation pop-up. You can click that, and that will tell you, well, it will send you to Patreon. If not, if you go to patreon.com/HOTFIX, you can decide to support HOTFIX through that. And you do get a shout-out. Now, the other week when I did a shout out, some people were missing. This was because I think the way Patreon works is it doesn't show patrons until it sort of like approves them effectively. But now everybody has been approved. So at the moment we've got 38 patrons, okay? So I'm going to read all of your names off, and this is a big thank you from the bottom of a pit of glorious win. I'm not going to say the bottom of my heart because that's just cheesy. For the support you have given. So ladies and gentlemen, I will also butcher your names as well. So...
That's a free service.
I mean,
we offer that.
So the Clockin Mammoth. Thank you for the support. I've butchered that, but there you go. Gordon Smith, Nicky Clark, Matt Smith. You see nice, simple names like Matt Smith. Clacken, Sarah McClannon, Eric Fleischner, Ben Picking, Arthiax, Ivan Lee, Matt Green, Martin Powell, Jamie Lawrence, David Toomer. I think that's how you pronounce that. There's a crazy like little zero over the U. Sharkwarden, James Brady, Kittimer, Ex Nihilio, Thomas J, Trent Woods, Alexander, Sean Horsfield, Andrew Herney, Cameron Bruce. That is a solid name.
That is a solid
name. Bruce is just a solid name. Anyway, Carl Dave. I'm going to call my kid Bruce when I have one. I'm going to call him Bruce
Forsyth.
Swooping Hawk, Stephen Carmichael, Best of Three, Lucas Ferramirth, Ultima Flummox, Morgan Jones, Jinx Curie, Slipshot Wizard, Sky Spider Girl, Rourke, and Oliver Parrick. Thank you for your support, ladies and gentlemen. You do get a shout out at the start of HOTFIX when you do support, but you only get the one shout out. I'm not going to do this every week because that would be insane. So, ladies and gentlemen,
can I just say, just quickly, Ultima Flummox is one of the best names I've seen. I mean, I've got certain. I have to admit, I've got favourite names. You haven't got any sugar.
Oh, it burns. Well, it doesn't really burn, but there's no sugar in it. Oh God.
There are certain names amongst our community that I really like, and I have to admit, there's a couple that I always look out for just because of the name. And it's like a mini shout out, but only because your names make me laugh every time. Molten Toast Wizard, for some reason, always makes me smile whenever I see that name. And Ultima Flummox, I think, might be a close second for just like mental screen names.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into HOTFIX. So, first topic is, well, it's time to check. Have I actually set up the screens? This is going to be the interesting thing. Probably not, chat, right? So get ready for... It is the gamble. Gamble is go. Ah, no, I have set it up. It's fine. So, first bit of news we've got. Also, don't read the tabs at the top because you'll spoil it, although it kind of says in the video description what the news is, so really it doesn't...
And the title as well.
It doesn't make any difference. Okay, so we've got the earning report for Q1. Okay, the financials have come in for Activision Blizzard. As we all know, it's the megalomaniac amalgamation of massive Blizzard and massive Activision. Too big to take each other over, but big enough to become a disgusting entity of game sales. So that was an amazing description. So as you can see, okay, right. So I'm going to read parts of this off because it's easier than me trying to just sort of bodge my way through it, Mr. Kirill. So Activision Blizzard reported its Q1 financial earnings today, okay, noting an estimated $1 billion in revenue, which is pretty good. And that's been earned by Hearthstone and Destiny in their life to date, compared to $450 million during Activision's Q4 endings in December. So that's better. Well done. So Destiny and Hearthstone combined now have more than 50 million registered players. Now, this makes me laugh because that is basically Hearthstone, right? Destiny is like, I mean, who even plays Destiny anymore?
How many registered players are there on Destiny? There can't be that many.
No, they do say there's, they say there's loads. There's a thing where I think they were counting just like actual characters that were made. And there were like millions. They always tout the figure, it's like millions. But it's like we may have, well, like we would be included in that because we've got characters on Destiny, but we do not play the game.
They claim 16 million registered users on Destiny as of the 5th of February 2015. Oh no, hang on, it's 17 million now. We're in March now, so yeah, it's 17 million registered users on Destiny.
But I know I don't know anybody who plays Destiny. This is what always makes me skeptical of that. But even if that is the case, then that means, you know, there's in excess of 33 million are Hearthstone people.
Yeah, it's very much Hearthstone's the big player there, isn't it?
Well, that's got to be their most popular game for active users. Well, it is. They've ever made. It's got to be more than it destroys WoW. Because I mean, obviously, there's more people have played WoW in its lifetime. But like, if WoW's only operating at 7.1 million active subscribers in the month, if that's got, you know, but they do muddy figures, so maybe it's not that cut and dry. So basically, the big thing from this earning call is that, well, I kind of just dropped on it. So World of Warcraft subscriber numbers declined to 7.1 million for the quarter, which is to be expected after a major expansion has been released and played through by the users. Okay, but the MMO's revenue remained stable due in part to price increases. So remember, they increased their monthly subscription in the UK and other places, and that apparently helped offset subscriber loss. Now, there is a little bit about Blizzard Heroes of the Storm and stuff like that, so 11 million beta signups, yada, yada, yada. But the main thing with this bit of... I'm going to go back to the old face cam. The main thing with this is the fact that Warlords of Draenor has lost a... It is now at a point, World of Warcraft, where it's got less subscribers than it had in Cataclysm, which was the lowest point for that game. Do you remember when we made the hotfix some time ago, and I showed a graph, didn't I? It would have been handy if I had this graph available now, but it showed the subscription trend. So like vanilla, and then it goes, you know, it basically sort of goes up to a really high point in Wrath. I think it was about 12 million maybe. Then it like sort of plateaus off. Then it goes down with Cataclysm. Then it goes up a little bit with Pandaria. Then it goes up again to 10 million or so with Warlords of Draenor. So not quite Wrath levels, and then it's absolutely dropped off now to the worst numbers they've ever had. Now, this is actually quite interesting to me, Mr. Kirov, because we both have played Warlords of Draenor, and in fact, I made a video and I said, well, this is actually probably the best expansion they've done on paper, and well, it was kind of enjoyable, Mr. Kirov. So where did it all go wrong?
But, I mean, something that I like is that one of the guys from the WoW subreddit actually put together like basically a list of the reasons why.
Let's not go into that yet. I'll bring that up in a second. I just want to talk about why what stopped you from playing it.
To be honest, I just felt like I'd already done it. I think that's the main problem that I have with WoW now, in that the expansion was interesting and it was fun, but I think the peak of our playtime came in Wrath, really, didn't it? That was when we really played the game the most. And Cataclysm we didn't really touch that much. We got to level cap, but then we just stopped playing pretty much straight away. Pandaria just passed me by completely because it was pandas and I don't care. It sounds like you're ignoring an entire like side of the game just because of one thing. But honestly, the setting didn't interest me. The new race didn't interest me.
People are like that, though, aren't they? I mean, yeah, it seemed. I mean, again, I could be very cynical, but it seemed that it was just a money grab at the Asian market. That's all that was. It was like, oh, look, pandas.
Pandering to the Asian market. But yeah, no, that
Get out!
it didn't appeal to me at all.
No.
And playing Warlords, I mean, I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the leveling up process once it settled down and, you know, people.
But it was the premise, wasn't it?
Goddamn train sets everywhere.
Remember the trailer, well, the cinematic thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, Jesus Christ, it was really setting the scene for like this massive war. It was like massive war.
Yeah.
That's World of Warcraft.
That was one of the things that attracted me to Wrath as well, because it was like,
the
Horde and the Alliance, they're both essentially attempting to colonize a new area, and they're both like at war with each other along with everything else. And I really liked that. And kind of Warlords promised that, but on a bigger scale. Like, it was all kind of, oh my God, there's just so much going on. And
to be fair, though, to be fair, Wrath was kind of like that. That's where they sort of went away from the whole Alliance versus Horde thing, where it came like there's a common goal and we're all going to fight the Lich King, and it's like they did become allies kind of, and then after that, like in Pandaria and even Cataclysm,
it was a kind of,
there wasn't much.
It was a kind of undercurrent of conflict with Wrath that I quite liked.
But like with Burning Crusade and even with Vanilla, it was Horde against Alliance. That's just what it was. They're not, that one isn't good and wasn't evil. It's just they're fighting each other, and that's what they promised to bring back with Warlords of Draenor. Now they did that zone Asheran, which has been apparently a complete fucking disaster. I mean, I've never been there, so I don't know. But a lot of people are saying it's a complete failure. That was supposed to be a big open world PvP thing that nobody just bothers going into. But yeah, like okay, so you enjoyed Wrath. You didn't really play Cataclysm. I mean, I'm basically the same as you because I only really played it with you.
Yeah.
Pandaland, I played it. We played it a little bit, didn't we, towards the end?
Yeah, that's true. Towards the end of the expansion, we kind of jumped in, I guess really just to prepare characters that we wanted for Warlords. That was pretty much the thing behind it, wasn't it?
It was the hype train, isn't it? It's like, oh, big expansion's coming out. We've bought into... I think they gave the expansion away for free or something ridiculous. It was like, yeah, you know, let's all get hyped for WoW. Let's get hyped for the conflict is back. You know, we've been sold by Imaging CGI because, well, they have like the best cinematics department going. You know, and it's like, this really looks like the game that, or the expansion that could really bring back WoW. And we've only got to look at the figures. You know, it shot over 10 million subscribers, 3 million sales effectively, like immediately off the back of that. That is, well, more than 3 million sales, obviously, but 3 million like additional. Well, I don't think it was at 7 million, but I'm pulling these figures out my arse, but they went over 10 million from whatever number they were at. It was really good, right? Everybody's hailing it as the godsend for the game. I was one of them, right? I was like, the video I made, it's pretty popular, that video. I think it's like almost close to 100,000 views, but I list all of the features and I talk about how this could actually be really good, because with them going back to lore ranging from Warcraft 2 and even Warcraft to some extent, and like Warcraft 3 kind of, it's more Warcraft 2 I think with the Draenor connection, but that is like, you remember those characters, I remember those characters when I played those games. You know, Warcraft 2 was quality. You know, Warcraft 3 was quality. Everyone remembers this, and these iconic characters, like, you want to play with them again. Like Garrosh Hellscream. Is that his name? Or have I just mangled two together?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Garrosh. No, hang on. It's not Garrosh. It's the old man. Yeah, no, it is Garrosh, ain't it?
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm Googling. Thrall's chum. Brother, whatever. No, Garrosh is his son. Yeah, no, it's not Garrosh. It's the other guy. Grom. It's Grom, innit? Grom.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, right, Grom. You can see how much I pay attention. So Grom, like, everyone remembers the Warcraft 3 cinematic where Grom dies. That was like, it was beautiful. I mean, he kills, what's his face? The guy who died. You see, again, I'm terrible with the names. He's a pit fiend lord guy.
Manaroth, isn't it?
Manaroth, yeah, where he smashes his axe into it. Like, and they did that again with the cinematic for Warlords of Draenor. Just to like, again, I'm sitting like, oh my god, he's just killed him again in the same way. It's like in a different timeline though. Oh, and it was like massively detailed. And you know, you get really getting sold. It's like, so everybody starts buying the game, don't they? But then we get into the game, don't we, Mr. Kirioff? And before I bring up the list from the Reddit user that we found from the WoW subreddit where they list all of the problems, I just want to like talk about our experience. So we're at this point now where we've been sold by all of the story, all of the cinematics, everything, right? We want this game. We start playing it right now on day one, yeah? Ignore the launch problems and the trains, but I'm just going to go out there and say it was pretty enjoyable, right? To level up. It was pretty enjoyable.
It felt like, to me, it felt like Wrath again. I didn't enjoy leveling up in Cataclysm, but in Wrath, I did. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the process of going through all the different areas, and I thought just the area design was better than Cataclysm as well in Wrath. I really felt they did a better job of setting out these, you know, parts of the world that looked different, but all kind of felt like they belonged in the same place. Cataclysm, by contrast, felt really segmented. It was like, oh, by the way, now you're underwater, now you're on top of a mountain. I just didn't know what was going on. It was like, well, none of this stuff feels like it links together. It's the same problem that Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 had. You know, the first one flowed, second one was just like, there's an area that looks like mountains, and right next to it is a town that's in the bottom of a valley. What's going on there? Whereas playing Warlords, it felt like Wrath again. It felt like a really good area where everything was kind of linked, but you could still kind of feel like a common thing throughout all of it. And the quests were decent as well. Like, they were still like mostly typical MMO quests. Like there was a lot of
it's just a theme park, ain't it? Wow, but it was still like stupidly enjoyable. Not stupidly in the sense like amazingly enjoyable, but like just it was dumb.
Yeah,
you know, it's just it's WoW. You know, we're just playing together and it's fine. And I was happy with that. You know, we got to the end. I for some reason had a load of gold, which I can't remember why. I think from years ago on the account. So I started like upgrading the garrison and things like that, which was like, I'll be honest, I'm not really that interested in that kind of mechanic, but you know, I was doing it because whatever, I wanted the fancy garrison and blah blah blah. Then we started doing dungeons, didn't we? Now this was the kicker to me, right? Because the loot table was, well, the loot tables were homogenized, so it was the same loot regardless of whatever dungeon you did. Now that's not very good because we're doing like, okay, there weren't. We might have actually started with heroics. I can't even remember. It was easy, whatever we did, but it became a point where the one dungeon that you would do, it wouldn't be as efficient as another one because you could do that faster and you could get more loot potentially. Or, well, it's all the same loot. I mean, I think there was some slight little differences, but a lot of the time, it was all the same loot. And that takes the fun out of queuing for a specific dungeon or wanting to go into a specific instance because you want that loot. And that like elation you get at the end, you kill the boss, you want the drop, yes, we've got it, and it's like on my 5th attempt. Instead of just going through a cycle and just doing dungeon after dungeon, and you don't really care because you're just doing it for the loot, because all you wanted then was a full set of the blues there to be able to do the heroics. I think we had to do the normals first, then do the heroics, and then the drops in the heroics were just the same as before, just with better stats in it. That's just gearing up to go into Highmore, which wasn't even open. It didn't open until like months after the launch.
I think honestly that it killed the enjoyment for me, because one of the things that I know we never did raiding in Wrath, but we did a lot of instance running in Wrath, and it felt like getting gear in Wrath was kind of the right balance between luck and, you know, grinding it out. But, you know, we would go to
you had the
specific
currency, didn't you, where you could like buy the loot as well.
Yeah, but like we'd go to specific instances because one of us needed something from that instance, and so like.
Actually, let me just stop you there as well. We will have got things wrong with this as well, guys, right? Now, I know there'll be people who play WoW who watch this. I don't want you to like rip us apart in the comments, because we're like the ideal. We are basically the people who have bought the expansion and have not played the game. That's why we're like, this is what makes this interesting. You know, we are the people who have left the game, not you guys who are still playing the game. If you are, you know, but carry on.
So this is just kind of what we experienced within the first couple of weeks of launch, because that's pretty much all we played. We didn't play it for very long, because
2 weeks maybe.
It died off really quickly, and I think part of that is the fact that I understand that, because as far as I'm aware, the need and greed thing was just gone, wasn't it? As far as I remember, it was just like you kind of, there was a chance you'd get loot, or you didn't get loot, or you didn't get whatever.
Yeah, that was really shit. That was because you kill a boss, it's like, where's the loot? Oh, you didn't get none this time.
That irritated me, and I understand that the need and greed thing caused like no end of grief for people, but at the same time, at the end of a dungeon, when you killed the boss, you at least were going to get something. You know that something was going to drop, even if it wasn't for you.
Wasn't it a chance? It was like a chance, wasn't it? So you could get some off the first boss, but then not on off the other ones, or something like that.
Yeah. Because I remember we did. I think it was 3 in a row, and I was doing really well because all 3 I got a drop, but all 3 was the same bloody chest armor. So it was like, well, brilliant. Like, you know, that was literally just a complete waste of time, because by that, it felt like that was what was going to happen regardless. Surely there could have been a way round, just like, you might have loot, you might not. I mean, there's got to be a way to mix it up a bit, because for me, it kind of kills the experience. It's just like, I'm doing it because I want to get to the end of the boss. I want the achievement. I want the chance of something.
Yeah, you want to better your character. Doing something where you get no reward is really shit. Like, or you get the same reward you've got over and over again. Really does put people off.
That's what killed Destiny for me as well, because that was like hours of grinding for practically nothing.
Remember the cave? You just stand at the cave.
Yeah, that was totally shit, and that's why that game I don't play it anymore, and I haven't picked it up since I dropped it because it's like.
Yeah,
and you've got to. The whole point of MMOs is, whether you like it or not, is the grind. That's what it is. It's bettering your character. So if you introduce the grind, but then just say, no, you didn't get anything this time. Now, it's kind of, for some reason, it feels different when a boss drops loot that you can't use. It's like, okay, well, that's crap. But someone in the party has an upgrade.
At least
there's a tangible sense of
achievement. You can see what's happened.
Yeah, the group has done something. Especially if it's been a good run and the group's been good. Then it's like, you'll get to the end of the number of times we ran, what was it called? It's in Arthur's place. One of the really high-end heroics in Wrath. where you fought the
in
guy on
Ice
the
Crown
dragon.
Citadel.
Yeah, in Ice Crown Citadel, around there. You fought the guy on the dragon at the end. I can't remember what it was called, but that was quite a difficult instance, and we ran it quite a lot. And whenever we had a good group, even if at the end I didn't get anything, I was like, nice one. That druid just got what he wanted.
It's an
experience.
And
I was happy with it's an experience. Whereas if everyone is just kind of grinding towards
they were really
killing
short,
the last boss,
and they were really short. Honestly, they were really short. It was like 10 minutes, and the instance was gone. I mean, I would be tanking on these, and I've got quite a lot of experience with MMO tanking, especially on EverQuest days and things like that. And I would go fast, even like sometimes the Duke here is editing because I'm going too fast. Like even for WoW, you know, like I'm like pulling loads of stuff multiple times and like doing all of that. So we are going faster than normal, but it still didn't like. It's like, okay, we've done the instant sort of thing. But moving away from that, I've just had an amazing thought, because I remember why I had so much gold. I think I had about 40,000 gold or something. But this was from years ago when I played WoW with you. This was when I was playing the auction house, and I was buying and selling ore and refined ore and all kinds of stuff for trade skills. That's just gone. That's not even a thing in this anymore. So the trade skill system had been completely gutted as well. I remember with your garrison, the only way to get like a special ingredient that you needed was to wait 24 hours until your garrison made another one, and then made another one. Like you had to issue the work order to the blacksmith or whatever it was, and he would give you the bar. It's like you couldn't just go out and make 10 of these like magical mithril bars like you could in the past, and then like sell them for thousands of gold or use them to get your equipment. There was like a barrier there where you had to wait. It's like MMO bullshit, like Facebook gaming, fucking mobile gaming. I'm sorry, you must wait 24 hours. And that actually became a big problem. Well, it became a big problem because towards the end of my tenure in Warlords of Draenor, all I was doing was logging on. I was in my instance. There's nobody around me. Well, I'm in my garrison. I'm there. I'm not in a city. I'm nowhere, because it's pointless being in a city, because I need to click on all these things in my garrison. So I'd have to come back to my garrison. Like, why would I go and stand in Ogrimmar or whatever now? It's just like completely pointless. So that kills the social aspect of it. And I'm like, all I was doing was running down with the mine, mining the ore, because I didn't have the highest tier mine. I think I had the second highest or something, because I think they would mine it for you, but I don't know. Then I'd run to the blacksmith guy, and I'd give him the reagents you need to make this bar, and then I'd log off, and then and I'd send my boys out on a mission, which I tell you what became really boring to me, because I'm not really a fan of these stupid little things anyway, like little mini games. I want to play the game, you know. I want my characters to go out into the world. After a while, I just didn't even care. I wasn't even bothering to set them up properly. I was just click, 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 go, click, 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 go, click, 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 go, and just send them off on missions. And most of the time, they come back victorious anyway. It was like, you know, I get that was a way, the mission system for sending out your little minions to go and do a mission, and they may come back with loot which was equivalent to like heroic level loot or some sort of epic or something, but it was like such a rare chance. I don't want to do that. I want to proactively go out there and kill bosses and get loot that way, and that really did my head in. I think really that's what just caused me to say, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm literally logging into a place. I'm on my own. I'm seeing nobody else, and I'm just, what am I doing? This is not worth 10 quid a month. What the fuck? You know what I mean?
One of the things that messed me up was that I put a lot of effort when we were properly playing the game into alchemy. So I had all these potions and elixirs and all that stuff, and the system's changed since I dropped the game and then picked it up again towards the end of Pandaria and then into Warlords. I didn't have any clue how my profession worked anymore. Like, I was looking on Wowhead and stuff. I was like, where the hell do I go to find new recipes for my alchemy? What's going on there? And then it was like, oh well, some of it's drops. You have to buy some of it from your person at the garrison, but you have to upgrade the garrison to be able to get to the person to sell to the things. And also to actually do it, you have to get these tokens. Just gold. It was just gold. That was like the massive gold sink. It was like thousands of gold for this. Yeah, and then like it was. Oh, by the way, also you need to get these tokens from these like instances or whatever. I can't remember what it was.
I can't remember. Yeah,
it was some bollocks that meant I couldn't just do what I was doing before, which was I want to be able to make this. I shall learn it from the trainer. I shall get the ingredients, which I could as well because I had herbalism, and make the thing. Then they did something where I was looking at the new recipes and I was going, all of this requires fucking fish oil and stuff. I never did fishing in World of Warcraft. I don't care about fishing. I don't want anything to do with fishing. And yet the thing that the trade skill that I had suddenly required ingredients that I didn't have access to unless I bought them from the auction house, which was not the case before. Yeah, like that really put me off as well, because I was like, well, I literally don't even have the fishing skill on the character. So what do I do now? Do I have to go and learn it and like rank it up? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So like that killed the trade skill side of things. Alchemy just became a thing of, well, I'm just ignoring that because it's a load of stuff to relearn it. I don't really know what I'm doing. It requires all this extra stuff that I have no idea of. And then when we actually did the instances, it's like they were short and I didn't really get anything out of it. So I don't know. It just did not. The setting was great. The quest to level up, I really enjoyed. But
I'll read off the list then. So this has been provided by, or when I change the screen, this has been provided by Tired of Your Shit 21, right? So this is in the WoW subreddit, and so I'm going to read this off because it is pretty damning, okay? And I'm guessing by the fact it's got a load of upvotes and it's got 2 Reddit gold that this is actually completely true and not a load of shite. So, shamelessly hijacking the top post to show why the numbers fell so hard. 7.1 million. That's less than Cataclysm at its worst by about 2 million. So I was right. That's pretty bad. The reason that the subscription numbers have gotten this low is because we have less content for Warlords of Draenor than past expansions. You might not realise how much, I'm going to call it WOD from now on. WOD. Got any WOD, mate? Yeah. Didn't deliver. Let's take a look, okay? So, no new races, no new classes, no new battlegrounds, no new capital cities, no new profession, remaining professions gutted. I don't know what Falahon. Maybe that might actually be a zone or something. Cut. Tanan pushback. Oh, I remember that. You know, Tanan, I remember the jungle because I was trying to get there when we were leveling and I couldn't work out how to get in there. Then it was like, oh, it's not in the game. I was like, what? But that's apparently still not in the game. Okay. BRF pushback from launch. Asheran is a complete failure. No daily quest hubs. Again, that's pretty stupid. Because you remember, like in Wrath, you go and do the daily quests. Something to do. It's proactive. Go out and kill mobs, do things like that. Gain reputation, whatever. Why is that not in the game? That is something that would make people keep playing beyond. Well,
I mean, technically, I suppose it kind of is in that you've got the garrison.
But you're on your own route. Shit,
I know. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's totally terrible, but I guess that's their logic. It's like, well, we do have daily quests. They're in the garrison. You send your guys out to go and do quests. But that's crap. That's not... I mean, hell, I wouldn't have done that if in Wrath, because I was too busy trying to get reputation with the what are they called? The Argent Champions, whatever they were.
Yeah, because like, we run around with the tabards and stuff. I mean, exactly no reputation factions to work for rewards. Only 5 new leveling zones. Shadow Moon and Frostfire are basically faction specific, right?
I didn't even realise there was no reputation factions. You know what?
I didn't realise that.
Occur to me. That's terrible. That's a massive part of the game. Why have they removed that?
Now let's compare that with the content of other expansions at launch. Okay, so Burning Crusade offered a new battleground, 2 new races, 3 new capital cities, flying mounts, a new profession, and 7 new leveling zones. And I remember Burning Crusade was really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Wrath, apart from you look like a clown. Wrath offered 2 new battlegrounds, Winter Grasp, a new class, a new capital city, a new profession, and 8 new leveling zones, not counting Crystal Song. Because that really wasn't the zone. That was the one on the Dalaran, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Cataclysm offered redesigned Azeroth, 2 new races, 2 new battlegrounds, archaeology, Tol Barad, redesigned Stormwind and Orgrimmar.
I forgot. I couldn't remember what the new. Why we were saying no new professions, and then archaeology, and in fact, the past 3. So you've had Cataclysm, Wrath, and Burning Crusade all offered new professions.
And then we've got
some way or another.
Yeah, and then Miss, a new race, a new class, 2 new battlegrounds, scenarios, which is the different type of instances, battle pets, which is the stupid Pokemon thing, 6 new leveling zones, not counting the Veil of Eternal Blossoms. So, if all of this side content was missing, one would assume that at least the main end game content should have been greater, correct? This was the dungeon and raid content that was released at launch. So again, this guy's post is pretty good. I mean, you can see he's a massive fan of WoW, or she's a massive fan of WoW, and to go to all this effort. So Burning Crusade, 15 dungeons, 5 raids. This is at launch, remember, as well. Karazhan, Gruul's Lair, Magtheridon's Lair, Serpent Shrine, and Tempest Keep, right? All at launch. So this is crucial. An MMO with no raid content at launch is absolutely fucking stupid when that MMO is WoW and it is a gear-driven, like, you've got to better yourself. If all it counts is doing the instances, then doing them at Heroics, and then waiting for months for the raid to be released, you're just not going to play the game. It's fucking stupid. So in Wrath, okay, 12 dungeons and 4 raids. Cataclysm, 9 dungeons and 4 raids. So it is dropping down as we go.
It is.
But raids is staying kind of consistent, right? Apart from Mist. So Mist at launch, 9 dungeons and 1 raid. But then if you note this, so 1, 2, 3 raids release a month after launch. So WoD, 8 dungeons and 1 raid, Highmore, BRF released 3 months after launch. So you had 1 raid to start off with, and then BRF came out 3 months later.
I mean,
what are you supposed to do? Yeah, and also, I don't think Highmore was that hard. Like, you know, if you're a progression guild, you know, when let me just go back to my face because I'm getting emotional. When I played EverQuest 2, we were effectively a progression guild. We were a high-end guild that as soon as raids came out, we were all over them. But when the expansions came out, there was a ton of raid content right away. It wasn't like, oh, there's just 1 raid. No, there was like 5, 6, 7, 8 raids as the expansion hit. And the way EverQuest works, some of the, like, I remember Emerald Garden, I think it was called. I may have got that wrong. It was in Echoes of Fader. That was massive. It was it was an overland instance, like Stranglethorn Vale. That was an entire raid zone, and it would take ages to do. So there was tons of content. And like when I read this, and I'm going to go back to the monitor thing. When I read this and I see like 1 raid, which, you know, it's a WoW instance raid, and then I've got to wait 3 months. I would have not been playing that game at that time. In fact, the guild I was in EverQuest 2 would have collapsed, Mr. Kirioff, because they would have had nothing to do.
Yeah.
People would have just left. They would have been like, well, what the fuck is this?
You know, it's worth pointing out as well. I've just read down towards the bottom where he or she has put a summary at the bottom of the post saying, you know, this is why it's collapsed so badly. Yeah, but then when this is ridiculous. They took more time to develop this expansion than any of the others. 14 months of no content during the Siege of Orgrimmar. So they released Siege of Orgrimmar in patch 5.4 and released no fresh content for the game as a whole for 14 months. No wonder people came flooding back. They were probably desperate to have something to actually do with their characters that they'd spent so much time on. And then they get to it, and then now there's no fucking content again. Brilliant. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous.
I don't get why this is Blizzard is a massive company. The WoW development team must be massive. What are they doing? Like, why are they not like? Why you would have like a massive conveyor belt of content? I'm not even joking. You would be operating on like at least every 3 months something major happens. Like something major, like some sort of event, some sort of like big raid or something that goes on. I mean, whatever happened to the big events they used to run? You remember? I was never there, but I remember reading about this and I thought it was pretty cool at the time. Is it Anchorage? I think it's called.
Yeah,
something like that. It was in. I'm gonna call this a sexually transmitted disease, syphilis. Whatever it was, it was in the desert zone, wherever the hell that was. But you had to. It was a whole like event on each server where you had to collect supplies, and then the gates opened. Well, fucking hell! Why have they not done anything like that since? I mean, I know they did like the zombie thing with Wrath, and they've done like other little bits and things. Why don't they do this all the time? Why have they not got like? It can't be that hard to make a dungeon, right? I'm going to be honest and say it can't be that hard, right? Okay, if they reuse models, it doesn't matter, but you can throw in a few different abilities, do something else. It can't be that fucking hard to keep content flowing, to keep people interested. People will get bored. WoW, people play, and any MMO, play them for fucking inordinate amount of times. They play them for 10-hour sessions in one go. They play them all the fucking time. So if you say to me, oh, Mr. Stylosa, you can play our new game, but guess what? In fucking 2 weeks, you've completed the entire expansion it's taken us 14 months to make, right? But just come back in 3 months' time and we'll have a raid for you. And I'm like, what? No, I'm not going to do your shit dungeons over and over again for fucking 3 months, because what's the point? I'm not going to level up new characters because I don't fucking care. The game's been out for 10 years at this point. I've fucking played all the characters. I don't want another character. I want to play my character. And you see where my problem is, chat. And I guess there are loads of people like that. That is why the sub-base has capitulated. And like, let's throw this out there. What's going to happen, Mr. Kirioff? What's the next expansion going to be?
Well, this is the thing that gets me. When you actually look at the figures that these guys provided, and there's no point kind of, if anyone's sitting there going, oh, he's not right. He is right. You can check it. In fact, there's screenshots of all of the raids and instances available at launch by the bottom of the post taken from his site. So it's like you've got the evidence right there. I mean, if we look at it, Burning Crusade, 15 dungeons, 5 raids. Wrath, 12 dungeons, 4 raids. Cataclysm, 9 dungeons, 4 raids. Mist, 9 dungeons, 1 raid. And Warlords, 8 dungeons and 1 raid. That what are they going to do next? Are they going to release the next expansion and it's going to be like 6 dungeons, no raid at launch, and then a raid comes out 4 months later? Because they're just going to kill off the game. They are literally going to kill off the game. Now, there's no point in sitting there going, oh, no, World of Warcraft's dead. It's not. It's still got 7.1 million subscribers.
Let's just stress that fact.
Yeah,
an MMO with
vast amount of money
is ridiculous, right? Yeah,
that's insane.
Not going anywhere.
It's going to be here for quite some time still. But if they keep doing this, like every time they release an expansion and the expansion has markedly less content than the previous expansion, then eventually your player base is going to decide that you are incompetent and leave. Now, a considerable number of people have already done that. Yeah. They've lost 3 million subs. Now, I know we're saying like 7.1 million for an MMO is like an insane number of people to play it, and it is. There's no other MMO that even comes close to that. By the same token, 3 million people leaving your MMO it's bad. That's really bad. That's like they've lost a third, in fact, like pretty much.
Well, a little bit less, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit less than a third of their player base. Not that long after,
and we are that player base, me and Kiri. If that game launched, we really enjoyed it. We got hyped, yeah. In fact, we're a special case because we would make videos on it and even drive sales, and just through our like interactions on social media and all of that stuff. People follow us and they'll be like, "Wow, Unit Lost are really enjoying this." We know they're not really that much of a fan of World of Warcraft, but they're enjoying it. We're going to pick it up. It's great. But then it's like, oh shit, the content's gone. What do I do now? And it's just, for them to keep me, right, they should have not had that stupid loot system they've got. I don't care about garrisons, provided it's not somewhere where I have to be all the time, which it was.
Yeah.
So I completely lose the social aspect. I mean, you know what, Mr. Kirioff? I played EQ 1999, Project 1999 for EverQuest. Yeah. It's a fan-driven server, and it essentially emulates the game up to the Kunark expansions, I think. And I think Shadows or Scars of Velius, or whatever it's called, is coming out in a couple of months. But the community in that game, holy shit. Like, there's a place called East Common Lands Tunnel. This is where trading goes down. Now, this is a very old school MMO. I'm just going to quickly touch on this before we move on to the next topic. But I just want to stress like how important interaction is. So this game looks like complete shit. It plays like shit because it's from fucking years ago, right? But I travelled through Neck Forest, right, from Nerak, because I was a Dark Elf Necromancer, went into the Common Lands, the East Common Lands, or I think it was just West Common Lands I was in, and there's a tunnel which runs to the East Common Lands, and in that tunnel is where trade takes place, and there are loads of people in this tunnel, hundreds of people sitting in the tunnel, all talking to each other. You can see a load of chat, people are selling stuff. Now, because this is like really hardcore old school experience, there's no auction house. You actually have to sit there and see what people are advertising, or walk up to people and talk to them and say, "What are you selling?" And they will say, "This is what I've got." They show you their bags, and you can open their bags and have a look. And then you say, "Okay, I'll give you this." And it's like a really like hardcore experience. But you know, okay, I was streaming this at the time, so people who were on the server were seeing me streaming because it was quite a popular stream. But they were like selling cabbages, and I was buying cabbages off a guy, and it was just like totally ridiculous. And it's like, and as I'm buying it, it's like, here's a cookie on the house, you know, please come again. It's like, what the hell? You know, it's so cheesy. But that's the social aspect. And with Warlords of Draenor locked up in my garrison, with NPCs walking around, I'm just like, this is shit. I mean, obviously, yeah, I don't want that experience of going down to a tunnel in the middle of nowhere to trade. I want an auction house. But it was just like, oh my God.
There's got to be a happy medium. There's got to be a way to do both. Like,
well, the way to do it is just make a massive city where everyone goes in, like Dalaran. Well, we've done this before. Let's just do it again. You know what?
That's the thing. Why wasn't there like in Dalaran?
Yeah, and the whole idea of Warlords of Draenor is everybody is going through. Both armies from the Horde and the Alliance are going into the portal to stop the Iron Horde, because they're going to come and kill Azeroth. Yeah. So you would think they would have like a massive like UN style base, right, where everybody is in at the entrance by the Dark Portal. No. Because the Dark Portal Zone was some fucking stupid story thing that you go around, which, okay, was pretty interesting to a point where it introduces like some of the orc, you know, the crazy orcs from history and blah, blah, blah. But then you never go there again. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Where'd you go? Oh, you sit in the fucking, I was going to call it Borean Tundra, but that's fucking Wrath. Whatever it was called. It was a snow zone where your Horde garrison is. and
Yeah.
Frostfire Ridge, I think it's called, and that's it. That's it. I don't, Mr. Kirioth. Listen, Blizzard, if you're here, just fucking hire me. I'll sort your game out.
The thing is, it's genuinely irritating because I really wanted to like Warlords, and I did like Warlords, and then 2 weeks after I like Warlords, I was like, I don't fucking see anybody. I don't get anything for doing the instances. The fucking profession that I spent hours working on during Wrath, and I think a bit in Cataclysm at the very start of the game, is now just gone to shit, and I don't know how it works. Congratulations, I bought the game. I played it for 2 weeks. Now I'm not going to play it again.
Mining, mining as well, bloke. Like going around the map and mining, right? That used to be a way to make money. If you could max level quick, run round, hit all the nodes, right? Get the ore, sell the ore, refine it, sell the ore. This is why I've got the mining skill and the blacksmithing skill. Great, right? Smelting, I think it is, or whatever the hell it was. It's completely pointless in this because you just go down into your mine in your garrison and everybody's got their own mine. So what is the value of the ore? Nothing. So for you to go around and collect the ore is a pointless job now. And like
that was the thing as well. I don't have like, I have nothing to do with like the smelting of the ore, the mining, or anything. I can still get the same shit. How does that even work? Like I'm not even involved in that profession. So why was that option available to me? Why was it not a case of, okay, well, alchemists have like a massive fucking, I don't know, a fucking herb garden, whatever you want to call it. Miners have got a massive mine. Why is it all homogenized? Why does everyone get the same shit? It's stupid because it cuts down on anything to do with the auction house, anything to do with the market. It completely cuts down on the social aspect because no one's out doing anything. They're just down a fucking hole in an instant section of the game that no one else can bloody see. It just does my head in. It's not hard. And the problem is that we know it's... Well, okay, I say it's not hard.
Well, it doesn't have to be hard, does it?
It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be.
If you take a certain path and you want to be the guy who goes and mines stuff or that's the path you've taken. It's not like just give it to everybody. I mean, I get they want to make it accessible so everybody can just turn up and be like, oh, I can do whatever I like. That's fine. But the game has got an economy and people for years have done these specific roles. And for you to just say they are no longer available, or well, they're available to everybody and also your NPCs can do it. It's
well, not just
like,
that,
what?
But the game's got an economy, but it is also, by definition, it's supposed to be massively multiplayer. If you cut people off from one another and give them the option to do things like mining where they don't have to speak to anybody or even see anyone, then you're kind of cutting down on the multiplayer part of that because they're in an instance that other people can't see. Why do they feel the need to introduce these sweeping changes that brush everyone together in situations where those people have been stuck in the same place but they can't see each other? Why? I know for us, Wrath was like the best expansion. Other people might disagree and might say, oh, well, actually, I prefer Cataclysm. Whatever. Warlords, to me, seems to have far more of the things that I didn't like in Wrath. Like, the first time I came across in Wrath, things like instanced sections. Like, when you're starting to do the quest around Icecrown Citadel, there's the massive wall, the massive gate, whatever
where
it is.
Like, phases that
yeah, where it phases. That was, like, I thought it was okay. I preferred it when it was open. I didn't particularly like the phasing. And then Warlords was just fucking full of phasing. And then I find out that the main place I'm supposed to spend my time is phased. It's like, what part of the social aspect of this game have you decided you don't like? Like, why have you crushed that? What is the point?
The thing of like a max level character running around in a world with everybody else is just not there anymore. Because like you said, if you are running around a zone, your zone is drastically changed because you are max level.
And you know what, as well, you've hit on something interesting there. In Wrath, quite often, we would be either in Dalaran or in Orgrimmar, either at the auction house or doing whatever, or buying gear with the tokens. If I was there in Orgrimmar and I had 10 minutes and I was just checking on the auction house, if I saw another paladin, another holy paladin, I would have a look at him. I'd be like, oh shit, look at his gear, that's amazing.
But if you're playing EverQuest, if you're playing EverQuest 1999, you have to ask them first. You don't just inspect them. You hail them and then ask them. If you just inspect them, they will go crazy.
Like, I never got that. I never got that in Warlords because I never fucking saw anybody.
I mean, like, me and you used to be like, wow, have you seen that guy's flying mount? Or wow, look at this. You know, it's none of this shit. It's just gone.
We would spend, like, after we'd done dungeons, we would spend like sometimes it'd be up to an hour just hanging around, talking, looking at stuff, looking at items, trying to plan out what we're aiming for next. What gear we needed for off spec. Look what that guy's got. Where did he get that? Oh god, he's got it from this raid. What are the bosses of this raid? Let's have a look at the fucking the raid finder thing. Like, oh, look at that. Oh, look, go to Wowhead. Look at all of this shit. I didn't do that once. in Warlords. I played it for 2 weeks. Admittedly, yeah, that's not a long time. But on the other hand, in those 2 weeks, not only did I not see anyone that compelled me to try and look any of this shit up, I just didn't fucking see anybody. And that's like, I mean, way to kill the fucking social experience in an MMO. That's how you do it. Well, it baffles me because they can make decent expansions because they've already done it. So how the fuck did they screw it up this badly? How do you get it that wrong?
Well, I don't get why they don't just use the template for the most the most successful one, like Wrath. Why don't they just be like, oh well, this worked. I mean, I know, okay, add Arthas as the villain, and it was like, you know, the end of the massive Warcraft 3 storyline. You know, so after that point, they are clutching at straws for story. I mean, that's why they just invented a. Well, I don't think they totally invented the dragon, but it's like, big dragon Deathwing's going to kill everyone. It's like, yeah, that's a shit story. Pandaland. You know, in fact, probably Pandaland was probably better than Warlords of Draenor, but the fact that we didn't play that at launch is because it was Pandaland. But Warlords of Draenor got us because of the whole, like, war thing on the go. Anyway, fuck World of Warcraft. Let's go on to a different topic, right? So this, ladies and gentlemen, is... Now, this is interesting, right? Because we recently took up not a partnership, that would be a strong word, but we're part of the Green Man Gaming affiliate program. So what this means is we can sell games, or if we promote them and we sell games, we get a little bit of money back. It's not a lot. So let's say if you buy a game for $39.99, we probably get £1 of that sale, but it's still something, you know, and every little bit helps. So before I read the updates and go on to the other thing we've got over here, I'm just going to read the original story off. So this is from GameSpot, okay? These are the guys who broke it and then got the update from Green Man Gaming. So Green Man Gaming has rolled out one of the best offers we've seen for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt on PC. The site is currently offering pre-purchases for $39, a healthy 35% discount from the role-playing game's standard $60 price, right? Your copy of The Witcher 3 will be delivered by way of key redeemable through the Witcher developer CD Projekt Red's own DRM-free platform, GOG. Or, well, it is, they don't call it, I think they refer to it as GOG now, not GOG. Because they've rebranded themselves from Good Old Games, didn't they, to GOG. I think it's GOG.
I thought it was GOG because GOG stood for Good Old Games, so now it's just GOG.com, so it doesn't stand for anything.
I don't know. It's something
sort
like branding out. I'm calling them GOG anyway from now on. I always call them GOG anyway. Keys will be distributed prior to the game's release on May the 19th, allowing you to preload your copy. Green Man Gaming's deal is the best around for the PC edition of The Witcher 3. But if you prefer to buy elsewhere, GOG and Steam are offering the game for $54. Console players, meanwhile, can pre-purchase The Witcher 3 on the Xbox. We don't care about console games. After multiple delays, The Witcher 3 will release on the 19th of May, yada, yada, yada. So, there's a problem. Because then we get an update, okay? Now, a representative from CD Projekt Red tells GameSpot that Green Man Gaming's Witcher 3 codes are coming from an unknown source. As such, none of the revenue from Green Man Gaming's current Witcher 3 promotion will go to GOG.com or CD Projekt Red. Now, CD Projekt Red own GOG, okay, and they make The Witcher. If you'd like to buy The Witcher 3 directly from CD Projekt Red, head to the game's GOG page here. Now, unknown source. This is the interesting thing, because I'm just going to go back to our faces. G2A is a website that sells games, and they get their games from unknown sources. What that means, right, is they're not really unknown, but what they do, this is a really simple, well, a very simplistic explanation of this, because they do get keys from other places, and also G2A is like a marketplace. It's like eBay, like anyone can sell keys on that. So you would have people who impersonate YouTubers trying to get keys for games. They then sell the keys for the games on G2A through their own marketplace. But there are obviously strong arguments for G2A itself is involved in this practice. So what they would do is they would go to an Eastern European country, let's say Romania, let's say, well, Russia, somebody like that, right? And they'd say, we're going to buy a ton of games, right, in that region. So they buy all of the keys, they buy 1,000 keys, and then sell them to the Western Europeans, right, or the Americans, because they're going to make a massive profit. Because effectively what they're doing is buying a product which is digital. I mean, you can only really do this with digital products, right? You couldn't really do it if it's physical, because you'd have to ship the product, and all the costs would start to spiral. Because it is essentially an email, and we know how easy it is to send an email with like 10,000 keys in or whatever they've just bought. It means they can buy keys for like, I'm going to pull this figure out of my arse, but let's just say there's a £30 game that comes out. They can probably buy the keys in Russia for £15 and then sell the game for £25. It's a £5 saving, or you can sell it for 20. So you're like, wow, this is really cheap. I've bought games off G2A before in the past. when I didn't know who they were. I mean, years ago I bought Diablo 2 off them because it was like £2. I couldn't believe it. I was like, well, what the hell? I bought other games from G2A, but then obviously when I became aware a couple of years back about what was going on, it was like, it's a bit dodgy. So why is this interesting with Green Man Gaming? Well, Green Man Gaming are the squeaky clean digital retailer. They're still a key retailer, right? They still sell keys, which they get on the whole legally. And well, I'm not saying they've done this illegally, but they get keys.
I'm fairly
and sell
sure,
them.
As far as the resellers go, I'm pretty sure Green Man Gaming is one of the few that hasn't been accused of.
It's the only one, I think. Yeah.
They're still a key reseller, but they don't have really any of like the clinging accusations that all the others have, like Kingwin or G2A. They've pretty much been shown to be essentially legitimate through and through, to the point where there are plenty of companies who, in fact, are partnered with them. Like they are like official retailers for a lot of games. Like EA have got official retailer status with them. Various other companies just provide them with keys flat out.
But I'm going to explain how they've got their keys now, which is why like CD Projekt Red are having a bit of a fanny attack over this, and why they won't give them keys and blah blah blah, and why they're saying don't buy off Green Man Gaming. So if I go to the monitor screen, so in response to this, obviously, because there was if we just look at the update I just read, where they're saying don't buy the games from don't buy The Witcher 3 from Green Man Gaming. Okay, so Green Man Gaming CEO Paul Sulyok makes a response to this. Now, I think he used to be in the army, because I think that's why it's called Green Man Gaming. Or something like that. Anyway, random thought there of the day. So he says, following a 6-month dialogue with CD Projekt Red about the launch of The Witcher 3, we were disappointed that despite the offer of significant cash advances and other opportunities to officially work together, we even offered to fly to Poland to discuss in detail how we could, and we wanted to support this launch. CDPR chose not to engage with a number of significant, reputable and successful retailers, including ourselves, as they instead focused on supporting their own GOG or GOG platform. We, like millions of customers, are huge fans of the Witcher series and have been eager for the launch of this amazing title. We believe that CD Projekt Red's desire to support their own platform by working with retail outlets that would not conflict with their own is greater than that of meeting the demands of their audience. Therefore, we made the decision to indirectly secure the product and deliver it to our customers. So they go on to say then, GameSpot do, Sulyok explains that GMG chose to essentially go around CD Projekt Red by acquiring digital copies of the game from third parties and retailers that were approved by CD Projekt Red. This means that CD Projekt Red is getting the revenue from the sales of these games, and that any additional discount is absorbed by GMG. Earlier today, CD Projekt Red told GameSpot it was getting zero revenue from these sales. And they said, we would heartily welcome a renewed dialogue with CD Projekt Red, so this is still Sulyok talking, and are keen to continue to not only support the launch of The Witcher 3, but to keep celebrating and bringing the whole catalogue of CD Projekt Red titles to a worldwide audience, yada yada yada. So what they've done is they have gone to places where CD Projekt Red have allowed the sale of their game. Probably, I mean, it could potentially be a loss leader, so they are losing money on it, or they've gone to Eastern European places and bought the game because they want to sell the game, and they are now selling it, but it's still kind of legal in the way they've done it because they've bought them from a place CD Projekt Red have allowed the sale of keys to, and now they're selling them, but they won't directly sell the keys to Green Man Gaming because they don't want them to compete with GOG, because GOG is a digital distribution platform.
The problem with all of this, and what I'm about to say is obviously just essentially speculation. It's not like I have some sort of insider information, but GMG are pretty much known for, it's where you go to get discount games, and you know where they've come from. They'll offer new releases at hugely discounted prices.
Well, no, it's not actually that. It's, you know what? They are discounted, but they're not like hugely discounted. But it's their whole like persona of like, I know it's cheaper, but it's not G2A dirty cheap, and it's like it's actually a legal key. And people do come out and say, like, the guys from Focus Interactive, they tweeted to me over Twitter after I mentioned our partnership, and they were like, great, publishers like that because they're actual keys that are being bought properly in the correct regions, not just like bought from Romania and sold in the UK sort of thing.
But the thing with this is that the way this has been approached, firstly by CD Projekt Red, is bad. The first thing they did is they should not have said from unknown sources because they know the source.
Yeah.
Right? They know full well that the keys were acquired via someone that they trusted to sell them. Yeah, they're trying to make it out like Green Man Gaming has essentially stolen the keys. That's what they've done by saying unknown sources. Green Man Gaming haven't stolen the keys. They've bought the keys off an approved retailer that GOG themselves approved, okay? That CD Projekt Red approved. So we can eliminate that straight away. If they was truly, if they were actually stolen, then GOG would have outright said, don't go to Green Man Gaming, these keys are stolen. But they didn't. They said unknown sources because they know full well that Green Man Gaming has not broken any sort of law doing this. The problem with that now is that Green Man Gaming were already essentially on the offensive to begin with because they're being cut out of a market, right? They do not want to have a massive hole in their lineup of AAA titles, which is exactly what's happening with the Witcher 3 release.
Yeah.
They do not want people to go to Green Man Gaming and to find, oh, well, for some reason, they've got all the other new releases coming out this year, but they don't have Witcher 3. That's weird. That puts people off. That lends the air. That kind of gives the site an air of illegitimacy, as though it's not like a proper retailer, which is not what they want, obviously.
Yeah, because, it damages their brand, yeah.
Yeah, it damages their brand. So, to me, what this basically says is they spoke to CD Projekt Red. They wanted to offer the key at their, their usual kind of, this is a legitimate discount. CD Projekt Red said no, they want prices to be pretty standard across the board. Green Man Gaming don't do that. That's the whole point of Green Man Gaming. They like being able to offer something better than everyone else. Instead of taking what they're offering, and including, if what this guy says is true, like an actual cash advance to CD Projekt Red for being able to sell The Witcher 3, they've refused that and they've said, no, we're not going to sell via you, but we will sell via these other people. Green Man Gaming, in response, goes to one of the approved retailers, buys a ton of keys off them, and then sells them on at a significant, like, this is a bigger discount than you'd usually see on Green Man Gaming. Like, this is quite a bit more, like, they're selling it for less than I think they would have done if they were approved.
Which, obviously, as Kiri's saying, that is their response to them being basically shut out of it. They're like, well, fuck you, we're going to sell it anyway, and we're going to do such a massive discount, it's going to fucking, people will buy off us. Yeah.
The thing is, it's such a massive discount that I would be willing to in fact, I'd be willing to bet, not a huge amount, that they're either making no profit or they're making a loss. Because the important thing to them is not that they sell this game like to make money at this stage. They're not in it to sell it for profit at this point. They're in it to make sure that of their lineup of AAA titles this year, The Witcher 3 is included. At this stage, their image is more important than making a profit on a single game because they'll make those numbers up with other releases, with other sales, with other discounts, with other titles. What they want to do is essentially say, well, you can still get Witcher 3 from GMG and you can get it cheaper than anywhere else. Despite the fact that actually CD Projekt Red didn't want them to do that to begin with, and Green Man Gaming likely isn't going to make anything off it, except for the fact that they're coming out of this massive PR collapse. Having had CD Projekt Red say that it's unknown sources, they've now essentially said, well, actually, no. We've tried to talk to them, we tried to give them cash advances, we wanted to sell the game, they said no, so we bought keys legitimately from one of their approved retailers, so they know it's not unknown.
That's the kick in the bollocks.
And now we're selling it to you.
I mean, the thing is, like, the image is such a big thing in this, like, because there are a ton of places where you can buy keys from. Now, there are different types of customers, right? Different types of consumers, different types of businesses. There's different types of YouTube channels, there's different types of streamers. If you look on Twitch, you will see a load of people with G2A sponsorship directly on the stream. I'll tell you why, guys, because they get paid tens of thousands for that. Because G2A will just approach you and go, here's 20 grand, put our logo on your screen and just tell people to buy games from us. And they will do that because they just want the money. They don't care. That's fine. If unit loss was that size, would we take that? No. That's why we did have a little G2A thing on the stream once. And it was like, if you do use G2A, it was not on the stream itself. It was just in the description. We were not paid for that. You know, that was just in case you used it, you know, because I know some people did use it in the past. But, like, what I'm saying is brand image becomes a very, like, you have to look after yourself, like, sort of thing. And I know that being partnered with Green Man Gaming is much better officially partnered in a sense, although it's not like, it's not like we've got a contract or they've paid us any money or anything. It's just we're part of their affiliate system, which is a closed system. Like, they regulate it. They don't just allow anyone to become a partner, which G2A does. Like, you can just go there now and sign. I think they call it the gold mine or something, and you can go for that. So when you look at these companies and you look at the customers, you've got customer A who wants the cheapest game possible and he doesn't care where it's from. Right? He's very close to customer before A, because nothing comes before A, who just basically pirates the game, right?
Yeah.
Because he gets it for free. So the other customer who wants it really super cheap, yeah, he goes to G2A. He goes to, I think, is it King Yuan? Or there's other ones like CD Key Seller or whatever. They go there, right? Because they want the cheapest game possible. Then you've got people who may have a bit of a conscience and don't really want to screw over the developers, yeah? Regardless of what developer it is, buying a game that's not in your region does screw the developer over, because where do they make the most of their profits? They're going to make most of the profits in Western Europe and the US. They're not going to make it in Romania, Estonia, and places like that. They're not, because they're just not going to sell as much there, and it's obviously cheaper as well. But you get the next sort of tier of customer who will go to Green Man Gaming because they know it's a legitimate regional key from a legitimate place, and they get a little discount. It's not a major discount. If a game's 30 quid, you probably get it for 27 quid. It's a £3 saving, okay? It's still a saving, that's still a saving. And it's still a damn sight better than Steam, which I would say is the last resort for an idiot purchaser, where you go and buy a AAA game on Steam.
Or Origin and Steam both.
Or Origin, yeah. Like, horrendously expensive, because I don't know why. Because, well, it's because you can click it and you get the game straight away. You don't have to get a key and send it. Because there are some issues with key sites, because sometimes they may not have the keys available. I've had that before. I've Green Man Gaming, and I've had them cancel orders because I've ordered, I think it was SimCity, which was actually quite good that they didn't have them on time. I ordered the key off them, and they didn't have it. And I was like, well, I need the key now because I want to make a video on YouTube. And I just cancelled it. I was like, no, I don't care. I didn't make any videos because the game was shit. But so there are like differences there. But I do think that what they've done is, like you said, this is a major launch of the year. They need it in their catalogue. You as agree, like, because let's be honest, the majority of customers are not going to know anything about this. They're just going to turn up to Green Man Gaming and be like, oh, I'm going to buy The Witcher. It's not here. What?
Yeah.
Okay, and then they go elsewhere and buy it. Okay, in this age we live in, it doesn't really take much effort, does it, to load up another website and buy the game? But that person then thinks, well, Green Man Gaming isn't that legitimate because they don't have the game that I wanted. So then they might not buy the next Call of Duty or whatever off them, and that's the problem. And Green Man Gaming, they'll have analytics, they'll have stats, they know how much, in a kind of roundabout way, that kind of damage is worth to them, and how much it would cost them to repair that. So then they know that they could throw an X amount of cash at something like The Witcher and maybe do it as a loss leader to sort of absorb that. That's just the way business is.
This is something actually that I think quite a few people, in fact, a lot of comments on the net about this. I've been on the, I've been in the comments of like GameSpot and PC Gamer and all this lot, and a lot of the comments are like, oh well, Green Man Gaming must have got these like illegitimately because they wouldn't sell them so cheap if they hadn't. No, they don't care. At this stage, they don't care about whether they make any money off it. In fact, they're guaranteed not to, probably. They're doing it because you cannot have a digital distribution platform like Green Man Gaming that is, in fairness to them, they are growing all the time. They're not like that much of a small player anymore. They're making a lot of effort to make their image more public, aren't they?
I don't think they're a digital distribution platform. They're just a key reseller.
But but I mean,
well, actually, GOG is also just like a kind of a key reseller, but they do have that GOG Galaxy thing, which is sort of their they're trying to take on like Steam with a client, which does plug into Steam, or apparently does work.
But I mean, like Green Man Gaming, of all the key sellers, all the key resellers, they are the ones that are pretty much known for legitimacy. They're the ones that are not, being tarred with the whole kind of, you're getting these from, people who buy them
maybe we've been wrong again,
and so on.
Because reseller implies that you bought the key from somewhere and resold it. They're just a key seller.
Yeah, but that's true as well. If they're a trusted retailer for publishers, then they're not reselling the keys. They're just selling the keys essentially on behalf of, and they take a cut, which is exactly how it works for everyone else. But it's like they are not interested in making a profit off The Witcher 3. They're not going to do that. What they're interested in is having The Witcher titles on Green Man Gaming, because it's a huge release. It's one of the biggest releases of the year. It's been pushed back, it's been publicised, it's been hyped up. People want to play the game, and people want to get the game for as cheap as possible. Now, if you go to Green Man Gaming and you buy The Witcher 3 for cheaper than anywhere else, you are going to remember that, oh shit, when The Witcher 3 came out, I got it for cheaper than everywhere else at Green Man Gaming on launch, and you will go back to Green Man Gaming. You will recommend Green Man Gaming to other people. The fact that they're not going to make any money off it is kind of irrelevant, because the whole point is to build this kind of aspect of trust, and the fact that you can get this stuff for cheaper than anywhere else, as reliably, in a legitimate way. That's what they're doing. So, for the people that are kind of say they're going, oh, well, they must have sold them because they're selling it cheaply, they're not a small company. You know, they're not some kind of flash in the pan startup where it's like, oh, we're offering really cheap and no people will use us. They've already got an established user base, and they're trying to grow that. And if growing that means taking a hit over a single AAA, but taking a hit over a single AAA title in the entire year, then they'll do that, because, you know, at the end of the year, the increase in customers will have paid for it like twice, 3 times, however much over. So I think the way both of them have handled it, like both sides have handled it, is just a bit poor. Firstly, from CD Projekt Red for suggesting that the source of the keys was unknown, because
let's
the
play
game's
it
not out yet.
Imagine I'm Green Man Gaming and you're GOG, yeah, or CD Projekt Red, and I come to you and I'm like, hello, I want to sell your game on my platform.
You'd say, well, this is the pricing structure we've agreed for Steam, this is what it is for Origin, and this is what we're going to sell it for on GOG.com. So we want you to be in line with that, and that's fine.
And I'm like, well, but we offer discounts, you see. And then you're like,
no discounts.
And I'm like, but we'll give you a cash lump sum.
no discounts. No.
And I'm like,
I mean, that's.
But okay. And then I put the phone down, and then I bring up something else. I'm like, okay, so like I'm such a big retailer, I need the game, so we need to get the game from somewhere else. But we're not going to go grey market style. What I want to do is find somewhere that is an approved seller of the keys, and I want you to go and buy 10,000 keys, and then we'll just sell them at whatever the hell. They're probably selling them at exactly the same price they bought them for, I reckon.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to make no money. But
whether you like it or not, or whether you personally think it's legitimate, the fact is that doing it that way means it's legitimate. It is. If they've bought the keys from a trusted seller,
and I think this
that's been
really
approved
weird
by CD Projekt Red, then they have not broken the law. They've not done anything immoral. What they're doing is they're effectively either breaking even or making a loss out of what is essentially just a publicity stunt. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And the fact is that CD Projekt Red have earned their money from those codes because those codes have been sold. The fact that those codes are being sold on...
Yes, but this is the problem, though. They've earned their money from them in wherever they've been sold to. They haven't earned their money, like, selling them to the audience of GMG, which is they should be paying much higher price. That's their problem, and that's why they're getting pissy, because they've made a fucked up decision that they shouldn't have done that. Like I really don't get why they're trying to, like, oh, you should be buying it off GOG, but it's like
the problem. Although the thing is, as I said before, they've both approached this in the wrong way, because the way that CD Projekt Red approached it was bad. They shouldn't have said unknown source, because they'll know who the source is. They're making
which
that
is
up.
just a smear campaign. That's just like
a smear campaign. That's what that is.
Yeah.
However, GMG should not have gone back and suggested that the only reason that GOG refused to give them the keys was because they wanted people to buy it from GOG.com.
Yeah.
Because that's bullshit as well. It's for sale on Origin and it's for sale on Steam. So to imply that they are somehow trying to lock out the competition is obviously bullshit. So they've both just gone straight for the smear. But however, the problem is that CD Projekt Red went in for the smear with no further information. They didn't back up what they were saying.
It's almost like a childish lash out, just lashed out for no reason.
Whereas GMG have said, well, I mean, they've put the smear in there, but they've also said, we talked to them for 6 months. We offered them cash, and they didn't want to work with us, so we worked around them. They provided more information, and they've, frankly, kind of given the impression that, through what they've said, that actually what they're doing is not so much to make profit at this stage, it is just to do what they're doing. Like, that's kind of the impression that is being given by them giving the information they have. Some information is better than no information. So at the moment, I'm kind of inclined to say what I've said, which is that it's entirely down to keeping their lineup solid throughout the year with AAA releases.
The comical thing as well is they have circumnavigated GOG with their own framework. Basically, they've just gone, okay, so you won't give us directly. We'll just go to somebody who you've sold them to, and they'll gladly sell them to us, and that's all they've done. Now, it's stupid.
The question of whether it's kind of a right thing to do in that GOG won't earn any money from it, I think honestly that depends on whether GMG actually make any money from it themselves. If they don't make any money from it, and in fact, if they're on a loss leader and they're doing it purely, they know they'll lose money, but they're doing it purely to keep the lineup pure, then in a way, it's not quite as kind of...
well, they still get the same loss of revenue, so it doesn't really matter.
But it's still an argument to be made that effectively provided they got these from a trusted source, that CD Projekt Red picked themselves and have trusted with these keys. If they've done that, then unfortunately, whether you like it or not, they haven't broken any laws. They haven't stolen anything. They haven't done anything that effectively...
Well, and they know that. That's why you've got them from unknown sources as a stupid attack. Yeah. Like, the thing is, I to sum all this up, I would not have a problem buying The Witcher from GMG. Because they've bought it apparently legally and within the framework GOG have put down, and I'm not going to keep going over it because we keep going over it over and over again. But it's childish. It's a whole childish fucking thing, really. And
it's been handled really poorly on both sides, to be honest. It's just like they could have easily come to an agreement. They could have easily done something other than release a press statement, saying, "Oh well, unknown sources, etc." But instead, they started to go the childish smear campaign route. So now we've got a massive case of he says, she says, where neither side wins really, because GMG are probably going to make a loss. CD Projekt Red look like they don't want to deal with the competition, because that's unfortunately how a lot of people will see it.
Well, they lose.
Who really wins out of the two?
CD Projekt Red lose the most because they've just basically a shitload of copies of their game have just gone out for a much cheaper price. Well, basically half price, isn't it? Almost.
Yeah.
It should be $60, but it's only $35 or whatever it was. Yeah, they're going to lose much more than GMG, and they're trying to stop GMG from selling them. But GMG are like, well, no, because we can't sell them because we bought them okay, and we're going to keep selling them because what you got to think is, guys, even if you think it's like on some level it's not morally correct or whatever, they're businesses, and all businesses do is make money, and they will do whatever they want to do to make money, and they will do it to make sure that they maintain their image and whatever, And Green Man Games' image is a squeaky clean. We don't buy grey keys. So for GOG to come out and be like, their image or CD Projekt Red's image is like, oh, we love DRM-free stuff. We're this like, they like to portray themselves as like a smaller sort of like, not indie studio, but like a smaller studio, but they're still pretty big. Witcher's going to make a ton of cash. They make money off GOG. They're not small.
Yeah.
Also, there is like a mental helicopter flying over, but I don't think you guys can hear that. But the floor was vibrating. Anyway, let's go into the last topic. I'll give this to you, Mr. Kirioff. This is Mortal Kombat, right? I'm still calling this Mortal Kombat 10 because it should be 10, shouldn't it? Well, why is it referred to as X? I mean, for fucking hell.
This is my favourite story of the week, just because it's so dreadful. Now, we've already talked about Mortal Kombat 10. Again, I'm sticking with you, 10X. No, piss off. The fact that a main character of the franchise is locked behind a paywall, the fact that you can, buy easy fatalities that have got a limited number of uses, that's all bad. This is like the icing on the cake for badness, though. Warner released a 15 gig patch. 15 gig is pretty fucking big. That is the size of an entire, other game. They released this patch, everyone playing Mortal Kombat 10 downloaded the patch, and a significant number of people went, excuse me, I downloaded your patch, and now all my save data is gone. All my progress has been reset. I've lost everything I did in the game. What the fuck is this? To which Warner went, oh shit. Okay, we can fix it. And immediately issued another 15 gig patch to revert the changes that the previous 15 gig patch made, which at the end of it didn't actually fix any of the issues in terms of losing the save game. So what people essentially did was download 30 gigs worth of data and lose their progress. And that was it. That was the whole thing. That is just incredible.
Warner Brothers are fucking terrible. Like they've got to be one of the worst publishers now by far.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this game, fucking hell, this game, right? Well, I don't think it was entirely their fault. I think it was just PSN being shit. But when I tried to play it, it didn't even download the single player campaign, and it told me it was ready to play. But where was the single? Oh my god, it was so annoying. But it took hours to download. But I think that was just the shitness of PSN. But to issue a 15 gig patch which breaks everyone's save, and then to be like, we'll issue another patch to fix it, but really it doesn't. But you've lost your saves anyway, and you've combined downloaded 30 gig. 30 gig, guys. 30 gig is a lot of data. I mean, unless you're some idiot sitting like me with a 100 meg plus download, then yeah, you probably don't care because it's only going to take you what? I mean, I've got 151. Also, takes me probably about 30 minutes to download that kind of thing. But most people don't have that.
And there are still any number of people who have data caps as well.
There's
still people operating under a limit every month as to how much they can download. 30 gig in the space of 2 days.
These people would have bought the game. They would have bought the game out of the shop, right? Or they've got a physical copy.
Yeah,
they put it in, and it's like the game itself is like 30 fucking gigs. So what the hell is this patch?
It's just staggering. Like, and the thing is, the complaints were so widespread and like so prevalent. There is no way that they could have tested this at all. I'm sorry, but there's just no way. Pretty much everyone who downloaded it immediately went, "Oh shit, I've lost all my progress. What's going on here?" And it wasn't like 1 or 2 people. It was like everyone. Everyone had the issue. So what the fuck were they doing? And then to say they're reversing the patch by essentially just downloading another 15 gig to fix it. I mean, I don't even have the words for how bad it is, because it's like Mortal Kombat might have been like an okay game. I know the PC port was rough and they're still trying to fix it and it's behind the console versions, but that kind of incompetence when it comes to trying to fix your game is just completely unacceptable. You cannot do that. That literally, there are going to be people who will actually have like been charged money for that. There's got to be plenty of people there who are like right on the edge of their limit for their data cap, who in the space of a couple of days have gone over it and then have had to pay for every extra gig. It will have happened somewhere. And it will all be because someone didn't do fucking quality assurance on the patch before it went out. You know, they didn't test it. They didn't bother to see whether it would do something disastrous like, I don't know, delete all your progress or remove your save file. It's just...
beggars belief.
The thing that gets me is that I know this is going to sound like really kind of old manish, but I remember a long time ago, I installed Unreal Tournament 2004, 2003? I can't remember which year it was now. It was that long ago. It's been like a decade. Give me a break.
2004, bro. It'd be 2004 you would have done.
So I said download it. I didn't download it. I bought it on disc. It was like an 8 CD set. That's how long ago this was. Because my computer didn't have a DVD drive. I installed it. I played it. Do you know how many horrendous game-breaking, progress-resetting bugs I encountered? None. Do you know how many times someone issued a patch that was half the size of the game itself to fix it? Never. I feel like this kind of stuff is just happening more and more, and this is just the latest example of it.
It's just so easy. It's like rush the product out the door because we can just do a day one patch. It's like
that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like as internet's got faster, as hard drives have got bigger, as graphics got better.
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's good to have massive download, but you don't want to be like.
The ability to patch the game from like a broken state to a playable state in the space of a couple of weeks, on the one hand, is kind of good because it allows you to fix issues. But the fact that the game launches with horrendous issues, that means you've got to issue a patch that is half the size of the game itself a couple of weeks after launch.
It's unbelievable.
That's terrible. And I just don't understand how it could be getting... It's getting worse and worse and worse. It's gone beyond something where it's like, oh man, a day one patch, you're kidding me. I'm struggling to think of like a really huge release over the past like year or so that hasn't had some sort of patch very soon after release. I mean, look at GTA 5. Even GTA 5, it was like, we downloaded the game, got it all set up for the stream on launch night, and what's the first thing we had to do? Download a patch. That was the very first thing we had to do, is play that game. And it worries me because it's like, internet speeds are increasing. People have got more access to more games. They've got more platforms. That there are more publishers, more developers. Everything's getting bigger and faster. Faster's not necessarily better. I do not want to be at the stage where I've got a decent, at the moment I've got a decent line for this country. I've got 75 meg down. I don't want to be at the stage where every time I get a game.
Talking about internet lines in the UK, we're actually getting way better now. I mean, I remember a time even a year ago where there was only one provider in my area, but now I can get everything. I can have like BT Infinity, Obviously, I've got Virgin because I'm an idiot. I've got the top line off Virgin because I wanted the upload speed, which actually would be better if I was with BT Infinity. But Virgin have been okay for a while for me. But I've got 151 meg download, and that's going to be doubled, I think, in a couple of months. It's like, what the fuck? What is going on there?
The thing is, though,
we're getting Scandinavian levels.
It's like we're getting to the point where we can, if necessary, download a massive patch on day one if we need to. But I don't want that to be the case where every time I buy a new game,
what happened, bloke? Whatever happened to you put the game in, right? Well, you install the game or whatever. You go to play. Wow, I'm really happy. Oh, patch downloaded, 45 minutes remaining. Oh.
Exactly. I know it's
little
like,
Johnny's sad. Oh.
I know it's like kind of people say, oh, well, you got rose tinted glasses. You're looking, you just like getting nostalgia blind. Honestly, I cannot remember a time where I put a disc into a computer and installed off a disc and found that the game didn't work. I honestly cannot remember that happening with any of the games that I played. Maybe I was just lucky. Maybe I just had good taste in games, but I do not remember this point. I can't pinpoint the point where we went from you put a game in and it works to you put a game in and day one there's a patch and then 2 weeks later there's a 10 gig patch and then it feels like this is the latest in a long list of shit where games have had to be updated after launch because they're broken.
Well, they know they can get away with it. Like it's one of these things where it's like a product has to be they're made within timelines, right? And it's like on this date. Because I mean, there's better days to sell stuff. Well, better dates to sell stuff than not to sell because of other games coming out and God knows what. And maybe it's a holiday, blah blah blah. Maybe people spend more day on this day, blah blah blah. Who friggin' knows? But there comes a point where it's like, okay, in the past the product had to be finished. Now this means if it gets delayed, you've still got to wait for the product to be finished before we send it out. Witcher 3's had loads of delays. That should have come out on my birthday this year, like in February, but it hasn't. So for you to be able to launch the game on your launch date, regardless of, and know that you can still got weeks to fix the game after the fact you've actually sold it, that's like very appealing to companies who want to make money because you just say, suddenly your direction in development changes. It's like, okay, the game needs to work, and provided it works, okay, we can throw it out the door. All of the extra stuff, we'll just add that later. And then, of course, you go down a dark path of we'll charge for that because it's DLC now or whatever. Yeah. But in this case, with a 15 gig patch, to presumably fix the game and add content and God knows what, which then deleted all of your progress in the various modes of the game, for them to say, oh, we'll fix that and we'll just issue another 15 gig patch, which did nothing, and you still, I mean, they have lost all of it. It's not coming back. It is gone.
Yeah, that's the thing as well.
That is a 30 gig combined download for... They may as well just have left it. They may as well have just said, oh, we're sorry, we fucked it, we can't do it.
What it was supposed to do is it was supposed to fix various crashing issues and other bugs that the PC version had, and instead it might have fixed those, but it also deleted all the saves. So they literally reversed the patch. But in reversing the patch, the saves still didn't come back, and you've still got the same fucking bugs and issues that the first patch was supposed to fix. But because it's been reversed with another 15 gig patch, all the fixes that were in the original one are gone as well. So it's literally,
and there'll probably be another 15 gig patch in a couple of days.
Yeah. It's just, it does my head in because it's like, I often feel like
a HOTFIX.
I feel like we're in kind of a privileged position. We've both got decent internet lines, right? We've both got decent connections. We've both got, pretty good, decent computers. We both have access to games where we can actually say to a publisher, we would like to do a video on your game. We would like to stream your game. Can we have a key? We are not, we're the minority. We're not the majority. We haven't paid for Mortal Kombat 10, and we're not sitting there and we're not sitting there with like a 15 down line with like a 50 gig data cap each month. So whenever something like this happens, I don't immediately think, oh well, it's fine, it doesn't affect me. Generally, like honestly, one of my first thoughts is always, some poor bastard has sat there and like spent all day downloading this fucking patch.
Yeah.
It's wrecked his game, and then the next day...
Look, just get even worse. This poor bastard, he's gone to work, he's come back, his work buddies, they're all going to play Mortal Kombat when they get back. He walks in, turns, oh, fucking hell. I've got an 8-hour download, guys. I can't play tonight. Oh, fucking hell. And then he goes back to work, and he comes back the next day, and he's got to do it again. But he's like, maybe it's downloaded, the patch is downloaded. It's, yeah, it has, it's downloaded before I went to work in the morning. But then when I get back... This is like, I don't know who this guy is anyway. They get back and I'm like, no, it's again the 50 gig patch. And then he gets a bill. You've gone over your data cap. So, no!
You've gone over your data cap by like 20 gig, and we've charged you like 10 quid per gig because we're arseholes. So there you go, enjoy your massive bill as well. It's like, I really wish that someone somewhere in these companies would kind of go, wait, before we do this, can we just double check it again? Just anyone, someone do it. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the fucking secretary and you get wind that they're going to release a patch. Go up and go, do you want to make sure that this isn't going to fuck everyone over before you do it? Because I feel like no one does that. It feels like the position of the person who's supposed to test this stuff. He basically just goes, what's it supposed to do? Fix bugs. Oh, we don't need to test that. As long as it works on that rig, it's fine.
See, that's a good thing. That's the thing. I mean, it's like... we would never just record a video and upload it and just hope it works. You always check the video.
Yeah.
You know, there has been times where, like, there was a hotfix quite recently where I had double audio because I had my camera turned on for a live McGee and I forgot to mute the microphone on that. So it was double, but it's like, okay, we've made the mistake, but it's still all right. You say you made the mistake, blah, 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 blah. But I wouldn't just upload, like, I won't just get this hotfix now and just upload it. Like, oh, go, let's go. I don't care. Because maybe my microphone is clipping horrendous. Maybe Kiri's, it's not even been recorded. You know, you just don't know. You would check. And it's for a product like a game as well that people are buying. People are not buying hotfix. So again, it's obviously nowhere near as bad.
This is like a AAA price game as well. It's not it's not like a 10 quid indie effort off
check
Steam.
Everything. When they applied it on their fucking debug consoles or whatever the hell they use, they'd be like, okay, it appears that all of my progress has been lost. That it's not working, guys. But they didn't, or they knew it and they just were like, fuck it. But I don't think they did know it.
This is the thing as well. People say things like, oh, well, they can't check for every little problem. No, fuck you. Yes, they can. That's what their job is. Their job is to make a working product for the consumer. Their job is not to do a half-assed thing and just throw it out.
Those people are fucking idiots. Those are the same people. Yeah, those are the same fucking idiots who turn up when Gabe turns up with his Ask Me Anything about fucking mods, and he's like, well, thanks, Gabe, for stepping out and saying, you know, standing up for the company. You know, you didn't have to do it. It's like, fuck off, he is the company. Of course he had to do it.
It's the same kind of person who, like, when we've talked about Battlefield 4, I've had someone say to me over Steam, it's like, oh, you shouldn't hate on Battlefield 4, it's a lot better now. I don't give a fuck what it's like now. When I played it at launch, it was shit. It was broken, it was buggy, it was shit. I paid for it, and it didn't work. And I did pay for Battlefield 4 as well.
Yeah,
that's not acceptable. I don't care that it's good now. It's a fucking year later. Of course it's good now. They've had a year to sort it out. The whole point of these things is you are selling a product to a consumer. And we always go back to the car analogy, and we always will, because it's a really good analogy. You do not buy a car knowing it's going to fucking break down before you get off the forecourt. You don't do that. People don't try and, you know, reputable people anyway, you don't go to the fucking... There's a Fiat dealership down the road. Admittedly, with Fiat, it can be a bit hit and go, but, you know...
It's like Alfa Romeo style.
They're not going to intentionally say, this car's brilliant, you should drive it away now, knowing that the second you turn the wheels are going to fucking fall off the car. They're not going to do that because, you know, they would get in trouble for it. And yet, time after time, these fucking AAA developers especially, and these publishers, rush these games out. They're broken, they're buggy, they don't fucking work. They issue a day one patch. The day one patch breaks something else. They issue another patch 2 weeks down the line. And poor fucking Billy Bob, who's come home from school...
Stick with Johnny Boy, I like Johnny Boy!
You know, he's spent his fucking allowance on this 55 quid game that doesn't work, and all people say is, oh, well...
Allowance? You American?
Nah, you know, it's like, oh, well...
Pocket money, mate.
They're in the process of fixing it, so it's fine. I don't give a fuck if they're in the process of fixing it. Release a working product the first time round, or fuck off.
God.
That's just how it should be, but it's not, and it does my fucking head in every single time.
Well, we could go back to Blizzard.
The latest worst.
We'll go back to Blizzard. Why don't they fucking release content? That's their problem. They don't do anything. Oh my god, ladies and gentlemen, it's the end of Hotfix. It's been beautiful, but then it always is. As I said at the start, if you do like the show and do want it to continue and want to support it, the best way to do that is to go to our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/hotfix. There's a link in the description and there's a crazy card on the video where you can check it out and decide if you want to support it. And if you do, you'll get a little shout out at the start, so you know that you forever assist with the production of Hotfix. Also, I've got a green screen behind me. Now, I know this looks really stupid because it's I've put it up because I need it to sort of iron itself out. Like these things, like it's got all these creases and stuff. That will go. That's why it's just up in the background. But that's my new green screen, in case anyone's interested, because my old one was a very small green screen. Well, it wasn't small, but it's a pop-up one. But because I've kept using it, it's like gone warped the shape. So
I've still got mine in the loft, but I'm kind of once you bend it too many times, just the way it folds. I've noticed that mine, it's been in its bag for quite some time. So I have to admit, when I get it out again, I'm expecting it to be like a kind of twisty shape.
Well, like I was having to, like, it's very difficult to put that thing up because there's no wall behind me. I mean, there's like a 3 meter gap here behind me, so it's like I had to balance it, lean it up the wall, and use my light, my studio lamp, to just sort of wedge it. But as it got more and more warped, it wouldn't do that, and it would just collapse. And I had to have it like right on top of me, like on this Hotfix now. Although Hotfix really didn't really. Well, no, it kind of just... I'll make the point. If you do watch the streams, guys, you'll know, which is twitch.tv/unitlost. Go over there and follow now. It's beautiful. You'll know what I'm talking about. So I've got these lights in the ceiling, okay? Now, there's two there's 2, and then there's 2 more right at the back. Now, because of the green screen before was practically right on top of me, I only had the light off 2 of the lights above me, yeah. So it blocked out all of the rest, so I was really dark. That meant I had to get my crazy daylight lamp round the side and shine it at me, which was like, whoa, it's like, I don't like that thing, it's really too bright. But now, because I can have the green screen right back, because it's got its own frame, I get all 6 lights shining down, so it's much lighter, and the green screen just works.
It's worth pointing out as well, those daylight lamps radiate heat like nothing else. They are terrible. When we, for a brief time, we did like a recap show on the channel where every Friday I would stand in front of the green screen.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, week of win or something like that. It was cool. Yeah,
yeah. But we stopped that because it took all day to record, and so it meant that I couldn't make any videos on the Friday apart from the recap thing, which was no original content. It was just telling you to go and watch the other stuff. Also, that started to get more views than some of the actual videos themselves, which is like really pointless. But like, I had 2 of those daylight lamps and a green screen behind me. It took quite a few takes and quite a bit of messing about to get the camera positioning right. By the time it finished, every time I was like, I am about to die of dehydration. When they're shining on you, you just get like, it literally burns you as you stand there. You're like, ugh.
It kills me with the 40K modeling I've been doing on the stream, where it's like I need it on though. Like it's a necessary evil. But the last stream I did, I couldn't actually have it on because it was like, oh hello, Mr. Chapter Masterman. What's his name? Clayvex or something?
Carvex.
Carvex.
Because he's got lightning claws and chain fists all at once. Yeah.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we are now talking shit. It is the end of HOTFIX. Glorious McGee was the guest. There were a number of guests we were going to get for this, but like is always the problem with this. If they're our American friends, they're generally not around at the time when we record this, or like people are busy and they've got other stuff that they're getting on with. But we do try every week to get guests, and we'll also try and get guests on the podcast, which we'll do on, well, we do for Saturdays. But yeah, we got McGee, and that was a picture I was emailed from McGee's mama of McGee getting a bath. That's why she doesn't look very happy.
We didn't use the picture of Bingo looking like a mantle on the floor because it looked a bit threatening. She had a bit of crazy eye going on a bit.
Well, I would have used it, but to be quite honest, I didn't even know it existed because I was so busy getting this set up. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the end of HOTFIX. I've been Stylosa, he's been Kirioff, and we'll catch you next time, people.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.